it is that people who really need to have their voices heard and really need to like have a say in something are always being pushed out by people who are always sucking all the oxygen out of the room just to hype people up. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah.
Yeah, I'll say something on that. Mainstream media is not as mainstream as we think anymore, especially after the inauguration. I mean, the daytime viewership of CNN, MSNBC, and Fox News has just fallen off completely. The Hill, right, Rising on the Hill, has more daytime viewership than CNN. And like, what's like the biggest media following? It's Joe Rogan. There's these 2-3 hour long podcasts, right? Like, I understand that like attention has been shortened. I get that. But like there is a craving for this in this moment in the country. And there are some things I want to do legislatively to address this problem of the mainstream media. So one of the things I want to do, I want to cleanly define what counts as press. So I believe in freedom of speech for the individual. I believe in freedom of the press. But when I think of freedom of the press, I think of freedom of information, not freedom of misinformation. Now, there is no algorithm for truth. But, and I had a really long conversation with somebody about this last night who I called up. But it's not an easy thing to do, but they had a really good idea of like bringing in like journalists and like scholars and stuff to help figure this out. But if we cleanly define like press as like just sharing information about the world and like current events that are happening, and we can split off all this like political commentary and media and entertainment into its own thing, that's something we can moderate. We've been moderating that forever, right? We used to not allow cigarette commercials and other adult content on Saturday mornings. That's how we ended up with Saturday morning cartoons, right? And so we can do that, and then like, and then it's like, okay, if you're gonna be, if what you're reporting on is like, if that's not under this in this category of press, you have to make it clear that it's not press, and like visually and auditory, and like if you are going to be press, then like make that very clear, like this is press, and you are like adhering by like this is about like reporting on sources and stuff, like taking like these kind of scholarly positions or whatever, and the viewer gets to decide whether they want to engage with like a bunch of random political commentary or they just want like information about what's happening in the world. And then what we can do from there is we can work to decouple press from the profit motive. And this is non-trivial as well, but some of the things that we can do would be having like low conditionality funding for local and investigative and independent journalism. And this has a couple great effects. One, it's just a decentralizing of information and of narrative and of sources. So people can get multiple sources about what's happening in the local community that they can trust. And the narrative isn't going to be so controlled by like these central media groups. And so like I think that could be really powerful. But the goal here is to like cleanly define press and remove the profit incentive. That will and try to make sure that the incentives are aligned towards actually just informing people.